Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to another plog. Nate has been begging me to do another one of these, so
Begging.
I was like, I'm kind of busy. Yeah, I was like, I'm kind of busy, but let's try to squeeze it in. And
How
then
many
luckily,
times did
I
I
had some
move this
time.
on you?
Uh,
Three, I
well,
think.
I moved it on you too. Actually, you
Okay.
moved it on me 3 times, and then yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but you still wanted to really do it, and then I
Right.
I moved it on
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
But we made it. That's the important
We
thing.
made it.
Yeah, I even took off my Invisaligns just for this.
Oh, are you
I just
wearing them
have
all the time?
the yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm supposed to wear them all the time, but they do cause quite the lisp. So
Yeah.
I took them off for this for broadcast purposes.
I
Yeah,
finished mine like a few months ago, maybe 6 months ago. And yeah, like towards the end, I
I
got
didn't know
so
you did them.
lazy. Yeah, I had braces as a kid, but then I don't know, things
Me
drifted
too.
apart, and
Just like
then
us.
yeah, just
Yeah,
just like ooh, that's deep. Um,
it's just like us, but it came back together just like us. But anyway, go on.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So
Wow.
I did it for a little bit, but by the end, I was just so tired of wearing them all the time that I just started wearing them at nights.
Oh, only at night, like retainers.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean
it
it's not
was
fun
fun.
wearing them all day, and I take them out to eat and to drink, and I drink coffee throughout the day. So I take them out every time because my first pair look absolutely
Oh
disgusting because I
no.
had to wear them for 3 weeks because of my travel I did recently. It's like that my dentist was on a trip, so we didn't replace them in a
See,
week.
I was
So they're
very good.
disgusting.
I was very good at brushing my teeth before I put them in because I didn't want any of
Oh,
that
that's
crap
really
like
good.
getting into the trays. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
every
I
time.
started doing mouthwash before,
Okay.
but I'm not going to brush every time.
Well,
Yeah, they're
no
quite the
problem.
thing. I'm on set 2 of 8. So
Okay.
I guess
That's
roughly
not
one a
bad.
week.
Wow.
Yeah, my teeth weren't that bad. There was just like a slight space
Yeah.
between my front two teeth, and then very slight. And like people didn't even notice. They're like, "Why did you do Invisalign?" Which is a great question. And then my bottom teeth needed. They were like slightly crooked, but same thing. I had braces through 13. I had headgear, which was extra
Oh
cool,
my
but I didn't wear
god.
it to school, thankfully. I just wore it at night. But oh yeah, yeah, definitely will make you like in the cool crowd. And then I had a retainer for years, and then I lost one in a pool near Disneyland. Then I had to get a new one. Yeah. And so anyway, they
Headgear.
shifted a little.
What year
Yeah.
did they have that? Like, I feel like they got rid of that in what, the 60s or something? Like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. They got rid of it in the 60s. Yeah, they still have it. It was on, I mean, they always like the show I watch a lot, The Middle, great show that was on ABC. The nerd character wears it at night. And that was made in the 2000s. So
Mm,
please.
okay.
This, you take our 10, sometimes 11-year age gap and you make it like one generation older. I guess I am No, we're in the same generation. We're in the same. But
Are
like,
we?
yes. Yeah. I
I
am
think that
considered
I.
millennial.
Okay. Are you sure? You must be like the
I checked.
first day of the millennial generation.
Wow.
I'm probably the last day.
Well, I haven't talked to you in ages and I missed you and now I'm regretting
All right. You
all
just
of
want to
this.
hang up and,
Yeah, let's just hang up. I'm done.
yeah, this is great.
I can actually see you hanging up. Um anyway, on that note, yeah, I did take off my Invisalign. Long story short, and the viewers I think really wanted to hear from you again.
You just repeated what
All
I
right.
said. That's not
I
useful.
know.
You can see this.
I can't tell you how much I hate you right now, but I
You
guess I'll
just
keep
did.
it
So.
in because we got. I know, but I'll keep it in until we're done, and then we'll have a little. We're gonna have a little sit down.
Okay.
Um,
I'll just hang up.
you'll see. I can haunt you. All right. Today's topic was a long time coming
Okay.
because it's something very. I think a lot of people want to know the answer to this generally on
A lot of
YouTube.
people or
And so
you?
here's your take. No, I think a lot of people, not just
Okay.
me. Now, who's going to watch this? Probably just me on this channel. But I think the question gets a lot of
Okay.
questions, queries,
I'm more
searches.
confused than when you started, so let's get into
Yeah,
it.
good. That's good. So you are extra. The feist level on you is at about 11 out of 10 right now. Um, All right. So the topic is, because you've lived this, West Coast versus East Coast living.
Didn't we already do this?
No.
No?
I just said I want to do this. We never did this.
Wow. So you said, yeah, you must have
So,
said this like months ago, and I
yeah.
thought that we already did
Yeah.
this. Okay.
Yeah, and you like ignore a lot of my texts or don't get back to me. Just kidding. You don't. You actually are really good about that. So yeah, okay, let's just clarify. You've lived on both, and I've only lived on the West Coast.
Okay.
But we can start with like your general take on the pluses and minuses of the two sides, and I don't want to sway you with anything.
Nice mug. Should have told me
About what?
I
Oh,
got an East Coast mug.
did you just notice? What a coincidence.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, I'm gonna put this next to my Phil. I have a Phil's cup on my desk. Let me move it. It's next to my In-N-Out cup. Let's just put this. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, here's what I'll start with. I think the East Coast, there's a lot of parts to it. And
You mean like, what do you mean parts?
like Florida is very, very different than New Jersey. And
Yes,
that's very different
that's
than Maine. So I think the West Coast is more homogenous
Mm-hmm.
than the East Coast.
And that, yeah.
So I think you've got to like, I need to break it up because there are a lot of parts of the East Coast that I do not like and would never go to and never ever would want to live in.
And before you break it up, I will back you on that. I just did a road trip for the first time versus flying up to Oregon.
Yeah.
And the greenery changes for sure. Granted, there's tons of wildfire smoke. We'll get into that as a con.
Yeah, that's definitely a con.
But
Top of my mind.
especially this year, it kind of feels. And if any Oregonian ever watches this, they might be like, "No, it doesn't." But I felt like California continued, and I'm sure that's very. But roughly, it felt like that. It's not like a huge
Right.
difference, and I'm sure I'll get
Here's what I'll say.
hate for that. But go
Also,
ahead. Yeah.
I really do like the West Coast, right? So don't get me wrong. And there's pretty much, I would say most of the West Coast I would like to live in. I'd love to visit there, whatever. That's not true of the East Coast, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think like most of the West Coast is nice. There's a lot of parts of the East Coast that are not nice.
Yeah.
Um,
I would agree, and I'm happy to start talking about toll
Well, I guess-
roads whenever you're ready. But
quick recap. I was born in Pennsylvania, which isn't, I don't know, do you consider that, like how far inland are you going on these coasts?
I mean, with Pennsylvania, I feel like Philly is East Coast, but like
it's
once
so
you start to get
coastal, yeah.
into
I'd
the
say-
state, and especially where you're from, I think you're leaving the East Coast. I don't know if it
I'm
qualifies.
only an hour west of Philly.
All your descriptions and everything I've heard about that town, which I don't know.
Well, Coates was the town that I
And
grew up
Coatesville, yeah, which I didn't. And I'm sorry, I rolled my eyes because everyone else besides Pennsylvanians calls it
in. Lancaster.
Lancaster. But sure, Lancaster County. You got very feisty about that when I first said Lancaster, which everyone else says. But anyway,
Okay, you keep
one downside.
one
yeah,
downside.
it's true.
So I
Comment
grew
below,
up-
even though no one watches this.
Grew up in Pennsylvania. I moved all around the East Coast for a bit. So I've lived in Southwest Virginia. I've lived in Raleigh, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia.
hmm
I feel like there's another one in there. Well, now I live in New Jersey. But I
Right.
moved post college to California, specifically the Bay Area. So I was in Redwood City at first, and then Santa Clara. Almost next to this guy. And I feel like
That was intentional.
that was intentional. Yes.
Yeah.
Here I'm actually gonna start with the West Coast now. Here's the thing about the West Coast.
Please.
Is it is nice, right? Like one of my favorite things is being able to just like quickly get to, and like, I mean, you have to drive, but whatever. I'm fine with driving. You drive to some place where there's like a lot of shops, a lot of food, and it's nice. Like even if it's a strip mall, right? It's nice. I mean, this is probably just the Bay Area. I've been to LA, but haven't been outside that. I don't think there really is much to California outside that.
Well, there's also
It's
There's
there's
Sacramento.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've driven.
But I don't
through
think you went out
Sacramento.
there when you were here.
I've only
Yeah.
driven through it.
Okay.
To Tahoe, but um, so everything's nice. Probably a function of how much money is in the Bay Area. But that's also sort of the problem, right? Is because you can't buy a reasonable house anywhere, and they're starting to like be built on top of each other, like because there's no like medium
That
high
is
density
absolutely
housing,
true.
right? So like even if you had a house with like a yard, your yard is like the size of my living room, right?
But that makes it easy to maintain. But that's, yeah.
I mean, sure, but like around here, there's totally options, right? Like I'm still close to New York, but there's tons of places around here with acreage, multiple acres. And it's just because New York has high density housing, right? Like it's filled with it. And so it's a proper city.
Right.
That's one thing that the West Coast does not have. They don't have any proper cities. Maybe Seattle. I've never been there.
Seattle's a great city.
Maybe. I don't know. But New York is well done from that perspective of just housing and planning. Yeah.
Is it done well with planning? I mean, that's talk about stacking people on top of each other.
Well, considering when New York started, right? Compared to other cities had plenty of time to realize, oh yeah, like we should plan this out a little better. Like Phoenix, for example, is very well planned, right? Lots of good grids, lots of roads, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, one difficulty, and this is from a History Channel documentary to defend the West Coast.
Okay.
Is that New York or Manhattan has a lot of bedrock, so it's easy to build big, heavy buildings on that. Versus West Coast has a lot of earthquakes and or buildings that sink. There's a building and there's a building in San Francisco that's sunk another like 3 inches or something. I forget what I just saw that headline. So they can't build too tall or too big for a lot of the cities because of the fault line issues. Yes.
Yeah, I guess
so.
Most of my advice is directed.
But the planning, I agree. Yeah.
Outside of San Francisco, right? The Bay Area, where no one's approving medium high density housing anywhere, and how housing prices just continue to go up.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and then you're locked in by mountains. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of a nightmare to buy a house. I mean, everyone said this. It's like everyone knows that, but
yeah, it's more expensive than New York, I think now. Too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. New York, yeah.
In general, yeah.
I mean, you can get a decent place. $3,000 a month will get you a really nice apartment. But I paid, like in the Bay Area, I can't even remember what my rent was. But I think it was like for a 2-bed, 700 square feet in Redwood City. I think that was $3,500 a month.
Okay, then what about when you were in
Santa Clara? I
Clara.
had I had a special deal from that guy.
Well, what was it?
Well, like I think it was for our place. It was like $2,700 a month.
And you got to live next to a McDonald's. So I don't know what you're...
And a crack house.
I mean, that was ideal.
That was the deal. As long as I lived next to that.
Well,
it was okay.
It kept things interesting.
Yeah. I did watch... I think on 2 different occasions, people try to break in to the upper window there. I called the cops on one of them. The other one, I think, saw me as I drove into my driveway and ran away.
That's good. I remember when I'd water your plants when you were gone. I didn't like what I saw next door.
There was
it's understandable.
Up on the window.
Tinfoil. Yeah. It wasn't at all comforting.
Yeah, no, it was not.
Yeah.
I didn't feel very safe there, but it was cheap.
But and you got to live extremely close to me.
Right.
At the time.
And the McDonald's. I think
that was
the more beneficial move, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. We'll talk about how much you missed me after you left, but we'll get there. We'll do a scale.
So I mean, I think when it comes to housing, people planning, city planning, I do give East Coast a little bit more credit. I think middle America right now is probably doing a better job because most of them are experiencing the highest amount of growth than anywhere else, and we're in the 21st century. We understand how to plan cities instead of 100 years ago. But
do we though?
Yeah.
I mean, kind of. Not.
I guess. Not really.
Still not great, like public transit or.
Oh, for sure.
I mean,
There's some places I've heard that, like, is it Houston or Dallas? I feel like a big Texas city has really good transit.
really?
I think I might be.
If you're out
completely
there,
making this up.
Texans, let us know.
Yeah.
That'd be great too if I actually had a Texan one. If you're from Texas, reply. Let us know. I don't think I
Does
do.
YouTube Analytics tell you that where they're from?
You know, it might. I haven't looked in ages. I'm always scared to just generally log in, and I finally read comments recently, and maybe I should have made a video of that. Most of them were okay that I saw, and then I'm trying to do my best. Someone called out nose hairs in my tour of Warner Brothers Studios video, so I'm trying to make sure they're nice and trimmed. They were trimmed a couple days ago, so hopefully they're, Anyway, sidetrack.
You should comment back, let them know you're taking care of it.
Well, I did comment back, and I've said it in many videos now. It like bothers me a little bit, but I fixed it.
Yeah, you're not the self-conscious type, are you?
Yeah. No, not at all. Not at all. Just bothers me every day.
Anyways, I feel like
Yes.
I'm going all over the place here, but here's what I'll say.
Let me ask you this then.
Yeah, sure.
I'll just ask you this. Okay. All in all, though. So yeah, the housing, I agree. And it was harder on the West Coast because there's more like mountain/natural disasters with earthquakes. I mean, the East Coast gets its fair share of natural disasters. So you're a little more limited in like land use. I think some of that is from zoning from the past, like you said. What was it like when you first came from the East Coast to California? Obviously, when you met me, that was a great day, and things probably changed for the best. But in general, like, was it a big adjustment for anyone? Even though no one's probably watching this, for anyone who is watching, who's maybe going to make the move from East Coast to West Coast, was there anything like surprising or weird or yeah?
I honestly, it wasn't that different, right? Like, actually, one of the interesting things is that I feel like I've been to a lot of parts of the U.S. and every place has a unique accent, right? So like even Philly compared to Jersey, New York, like everyone's got a different accent. But especially you go to the South, you go to the Midwest. Weirdly, Californians don't have an accent. Like for me, right? From
Yeah.
so it almost
No,
made
we
me-
don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it almost made me feel like did all these people just come from the same area that I did? Like, why is there no difference in the way that we talk?
But you probably quickly realized that when I said Lancaster.
Well, yeah, that's like the only word, I guess. But yeah,
You're right.
that was really surprising to me. But then I would say the weather is surprising. When you can just
Because it's much better here.
when you could just go for months and months with no rain. Like I've never experienced that in my life.
That part's bad. Yeah, as in like that causes drought. Yeah, it's stopped even sooner now. But yeah, basically usually from May until October. It's always on Halloween when I'm about to set up my haunted house, which I should have filmed the year you came by and helped me by sitting on the couch and working. But it always rains on Halloween. Like the one night, like it's like we need the rain, but can it not rain the night I'm trying to scare children?
I did help you eat the candy though.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like frantically setting up the haunted house, and you're just like working on a slides. You're being such an adult. It's very boring of you. Okay, so yeah, the weather. And then, is there a different like attitude? I've been to New York, for instance, only a few times. I've never lived on the East Coast, but been to New York a handful of times. Definitely like a little more direct there versus West Coast. But West Coast, I feel like, and maybe New York's the same. I don't know. A lot of like kind of, especially in Silicon Valley, the like rushed attitude. I gotta get somewhere. I gotta do something. Even though it's California, and especially in Silicon Valley, you get a little more of the. You'll get a mix of laid back, but you also get kind of like the go like Silicon Valley mentality. But yeah, was there a thing with that or friendliness of people?
Well, I will say that New York is very special, right? Like the attitude that's in New York is one of a kind, and it does not really exist outside of New York. And yeah, I will say that the people in New York are like the harshest, or seem the harshest. But if you actually get
Well,
to
they
know,
just will be direct. Yeah.
exactly. If you
Yeah.
get to know and understand,
Right.
like they actually don't have like ill intent or anything. It's just like
Right.
they're incredibly direct, and they're just used to like hanging around people all the time. So you see like a full range of emotions and word choice that you might not see in public elsewhere, if that makes sense. Like they're just they won't like filter themselves. They won't like hide any part of like their personality when they're in public, right? It's just like all out all the time.
Do you remember when we were going to catch the ferry? We were going to catch the ferry to Manhattan together from Jersey, and no, we did.
Okay.
But I started doing the accent in the parking lot. I was like, "Where's the freaking ferry? You know, where's gotta freaking get the?" And then you really shushed me quickly. You got embarrassed. You said someone was going to punch me, but
yeah. I mean, probably.
I don't know if that's the case. I mean, you should be able to, freely do the accent.
Well, I feel like the accent only exists for people that like have been there a long time. Like if you, the funniest thing was I honestly don't really hear it in the city except when we would do fire drills at the office building. The like, I don't know, some guy that works for the fire department has been there for like 30 years, right? He has this thick New York accent, and that's like really the only time that I hear it. And I mean, everyone else is a little bit like shocked and finds it funny, but
you're right.
Yeah, I mean, in attitudes, I think you're right that like the Bay Area at least is very go. Same with New York.
Right.
I will say, if you go south, the most friendly people I've ever met were in Atlanta.
Right here.
No, not right there. No, Atlanta.
I thought you were gonna say me.
I mean, when they talk about Southern charm, it's true. It's not.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's just everyone's nice. Like honestly, it creeped me out at first because like people you wouldn't talk to start like talking to you, right? Like same is true for like Bay Area in New York. If you're just walking down the street, you might.
I would say people keep to themselves.
Keep to
even
yourself,
here, yeah.
On your phone, whatever. You're on the train or something. Down south, people just spark up conversation anywhere. You could be like walking to the grocery store or something. I could actually, and they'll just like, and it's always friendly. It's always polite, and they'll offer like the craziest of things. They'll be like, "Yeah, you want to come over and have dinner or something? Like I'll cook," and it's just like it's kind of crazy that these people just are
like just out of the blue.
I mean, like they're not just gonna come up to you and be like, "Hey, come to my house for some dinner."
Because I did that to you.
But
I did that to you, I did that to you when we first met. That's why I was just wondering.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. It's just like more. They're just way more hospitable, right? Like they don't have to think like, oh, I gotta like clean my house, prep my house for people to come over, or whatever. It's just like kind of natural for them to offer. I don't know.
It's not like a big deal.
Yeah,
that actually does sound nice. It's very different than, like you said, heads down or the formality. I mean, I never cleaned when you came over because, like there's no reason to, honestly.
Really, you did?
But no, I think I did. I'm just kidding. No, I did. I did even when you were just like staying with me. But then I hid some things too, for sure. When you say, I had to make sure I hid some things. But
a whole other episode. What? Like,
yeah.
You don't.
Yeah, I'll show. Well, I don't know. I forget the ratings on this. But I'm kidding mostly. No, I can see that. What has it been like? So you only stayed in California then, right? You didn't go to Oregon or Washington when you were here.
That's right. Yeah.
So you don't quite know the other.
I've been to, I've been to Arizona a bunch, and I don't know if that counts as West Coast. Is that Midwest?
No, I don't think that's. I think that's considered Southwest.
Southwest, you're right.
Yeah. Okay. Like New Mexico too.
I guess the only West Coast states are California, Oregon, Washington. Right.
Yeah, it's actually touching the coast. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Or there is a coast, not touching.
Yeah.
It has a coast. I was going to say, more importantly, though, the food between the two regions.
Ooh, okay.
Be honest here. Food and drink. And by drink, I mean coffee. But
Yeah. Okay. So food is very important to me because
Prepare an East Coast
here's
person,
the
yeah, for
story.
moving. And sorry, there's a lag, so I might be interrupting you, but go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's a story I want to tell that is probably really gonna upset you, but okay.
Do not.
This was after I moved back east, right? And I flew to SF for some reason. I think it was like some work thing. And I stayed. I think this was my first time actually staying in the city overnight. And I get off the plane. It's around like 8:00, right? Take a a lift up to the hotel. By the time I get in, settled, it's like 9:00. I'm starving, absolutely starving. I pull up something like Google Maps.
I hate when that happens with work trips.
Places that are open. There was nothing. Literally nothing except maybe a McDonald's. And it was 9:00 in SF. Where's the food?
In SF though?
Yeah, I mean,
that doesn't
forget
make
where
sense.
I was
You're
staying. It was like
like what neighborhood were you? It must have been very touristy, because versus like actual neighborhoods, because there's no way they all close that early.
I'd have to look at a map again to figure out where I was, but it was super strange.
You're like, I stayed close to the airport. It was right next to the airport.
I mean, I've talked to people that have like been to both New York and SF, and they all say the same thing, which is SF does not have food. Like they just don't. They don't have the amount of food options that New York has. They don't stay open late. Like food. Food in New York,
that's true.
You can get anything you want at any time of the day. It could be 4 a.m. and you want chicken shawarma.
Right.
Boom. Right. Like you want, I don't know, some Thai curry dish. Boom. Like you can get anything you want any time of the day. And that's just not true of SF. And I'm going to generalize. I've never been to like Seattle. I'm just going to generalize. All West Coast cities just don't have food.
Okay. Well, I don't think you can do that. Well, maybe. I don't think they have the like super, super late night thing going, or early morning, I should say. But quality of food. You're telling me, let's say someone's moving from the East Coast to West Coast and they're leaving Whataburger, I guess, is that what you have out there, to In-N-Out. Or they're leaving
I've never been to
whatever coffee the East Coast is known for, which is none, versus Phil's, or
coffee, Of course, Phil's, hands down, best coffee I've ever had. I would still buy their coffee and get it shipped here. And you froze there for a second. Did you hear me?
You froze. Sorry. I'll have to edit that part. I heard Phil's, and that was it.
Okay. Coffee, hands down, is absolutely gone to the West Coast. Like, for sure, it's the best. Phil's is the best. You win that one. That's fine. Burgers, yeah, I'd probably give that to. In-N-Out is pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't even know, like, where did Habit originate? Because there's a Habit over here.
That is Santa Barbara, California.
Another point for West Coast on burgers. But when it comes
to... there you go.
Oh, another point. I will give you this. The selection of Asian cuisine, very good. Lots of...
I'm a huge sushi fan.
Lots of good...
Yeah, Vietnamese, which I've had with you. Yes.
Just the fact that you have, like, a really good ramen,
right,
like, noodle house in Santa Clara, which is, like, a very unassuming place. Right?
Right.
Yeah, there are great options there.
Yeah.
But I still give New York, I still think New York is like the food capital of the world. I still think you can get, when it comes to variety and quality.
What are your favorite? Variety, yeah, I mean, I could see that. Well, and like ethnic food, I guess, is unique. But there was that slice of New York place that we had out here. So for pizza, we got you covered.
No.
We went there once while you were here.
Yeah. If it's the place that I remember.
We got the garlic knots.
No, if it's the place I remember, that is not.
You're thinking of Pizza Chicago, I could tell. I think you're thinking of Pizza Chicago, which has Chicago in the name. No, this is called Slice of New York.
No, I know what you're
we got some garlic. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay. I'm just saying, you can do the whole like fold the slice thing. It's
I told you many times.
It's got to stack people.
That California doesn't know how to do pizza, and it's embarrassing because pizza is really easy.
Don't judge us by California Pizza Kitchen. That's not.
No.
It's just a chain.
Even Slice of New York, every pizza place I've been to in California.
What have we done? What are we doing differently?
Okay, what
are we doing differently?
First thing you're getting wrong is the crust, right, is supposed to be like very thick and doughy on the outside and thin all the way out to the center, right?
Yeah, I feel like
Whatever
Slice in New York
reason-
did that, but good. Okay.
For whatever reason, they either do it thick all the way or thin all the way. Like no like bone to the crust, no thick outer. Like I don't know what to do. It's not that hard. You just have to roll it up on the outside and then flatten it out on the inside. It's like
You know, there is a place in Oregon that does that. I just had pizza up there that does more of the what you just described, the thick crust and the thinner. So it's in Portland, Oregon.
Second, the sauce and the cheese mixture. I will say I've heard, I don't know if this is true, but I've heard that over like 90% of all the random pizza shops on the East Coast, I mean maybe other parts, but definitely on the East Coast, source their like cheese blend from the exact same company. And so it's all the same, right? Like, no matter where you go, it basically tastes the same. I mean, like minor variations, right? Like minor, I don't know if they change the seasoning in the sauce or something. But like when it comes to like the cheese on the pizza, everything's pretty much the same. And that's what's mind-boggling to me is like you can go to a random place in Coatesville, Pennsylvania, which is like rundown city in PA, part of the like Rust Belt, right? Like old coal town. And you can get a fantastic slice of pizza for like $2. And then you go to California and you cannot get the, like, it can't be that hard. You just have to copy the recipe, right? Like you literally just copy any.
But it's probably a hidden recipe. They're probably hiding.
There's like a billion
just to make the
they're
East
all
Coast
not
better.
related. Yeah, maybe. There's an East Coast like pizza vault.
Yeah, and that Slice in New York place here had a Statue of Liberty on the sign. So what else did you want? Like, what else could you ask for?
That just tells you that like it's not gonna be good. Anything that's like touristy.
It was very New York.
That's like saying a place with the Golden Gate Bridge on it is going to be fantastic. Like SF represent like no.
Right. Yeah. Probably true. Overall, though, if you had to high level just choose between the two, it sounds like you would choose East Coast then. If you really had to choose for food.
Yes.
What if there was no New York City?
Well, that would change things. I think New York, I mean, even where I'm at, like all we have, like, I mean, I live in like in between places, right? And so there's only like the Chili's, the Applebee's.
Yeah, you have all the chains.
Yeah, if I drive 15 minutes, then I can get to like a little hip downtown area that's got some options, but nothing like New York. I miss going into the city just for the food.
Well, I don't know. We also have they have that in Atlanta. That's an Atlanta company. We have Chick-fil-A. You and I went to Chick-fil-A but it came so late here. So I guess yeah, and that's just a chain.
So that was the one like chain that I didn't have near me, and the closest one was 30 minutes away in a mall. And so like no one wants to drive into a mall.
Recently?
Yeah, I mean up until this year, they opened a Chick-fil-A 8 minutes from my house.
I have never liked eating in malls. I will tell you. I think one of your visits, we did that, and I met you there with the broader group. It wasn't our idea, but very fair. And yeah, it's just noisy and crowded, and the food, it's like airport food. It's never quite as good because it's like something about by the time they truck it in to the mall, it's just not.
Well, malls
not good.
In general,
and one of the few malls left.
They just need to die at this point. I mean, there are.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing it. Yeah, they're doing that.
They're pretty much dead.
Yeah. So let's say and how long were you out here? Was it 3 years total?
2 actually.
2? Oh, it felt so much longer to me.
Yeah, it was only 2 years.
Would you, if you had to choose between the two coasts, where would you choose to live as an East Coast person?
See, this one's tough for me because I would like to say both, but just at different times of my life.
Okay. So which and when?
West Coast, I would lean towards West Coast right now. even though I live on the East Coast.
Do it. Yeah, do it now. Yeah.
Do it. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think. I mean, I think it just. I would rather like work, like spend my career building days on the West Coast. I just find it much better, much more relaxing. Working for a West Coast company on the East Coast is probably the worst thing you could possibly do, because you're just constantly going to work until 7 or 8. Even if you're not like, actively working, you're getting emails or something or pings from people,
Right?
Because they just don't give a shit. They don't respect. You can cut that out if I'm not allowed to curse.
No, I've had swearing on this. It's okay, but you're such a potty mouth.
Yeah, I know. But places that I would want to raise a family and retire to, all on the East Coast.
Florida.
No, absolutely not. So
Yeah,
Florida
you
is
don't
the
want
cesspool of
DeSantis
America.
and
I do.
yeah,
So I have a friend
anti-mask.
who loves Florida. Like was down there largely during the pandemic, which I was like, you're nuts.
Great time to be down there. Yeah,
you're
it's
absolutely
great time.
nuts. And I'm trying to figure out, what do they see in Florida? Because I've been there. I haven't seen a lot of Florida, but I've been to like Orlando, obviously.
Oh yeah.
I've been to Clearwater. I've driven through like Tampa and stuff like that. It's just not worth it, right? Like if you removed all of civilization from Florida and then you drop me on a beach in like the Gulf side, yeah, it's fantastic. But it's just everything that's been built around it is just horrible. It's like the worst part of humanity.
Yeah, it's like very populated now.
Yeah.
I'm laughing at something like there goes the Florida audience.
Yeah, I was
Not
gonna
like
say
have
we
one.
should
I'm just
probably
kidding.
check your stats to make sure I'm not offended.
No. I'm sure it's fine. But what was I going to say about? Oh, and we'll get into this another time. But I mean, Disneyland is better than Walt Disney World, so we'll save that for another conversation. But like as part of the West Coast being better, because it's smaller. It's the original Walt Disney Park. We grab all the best rides from Disney World and we include it in the two parks at California Adventure. So everything's already like really good, convenient, good to go there. Yes, the castle is in fact smaller. This is definitely known, but I don't think that's the end all be all for the two parks.
I know you're trying to convince me, right? Or you're just trying.
No,
to
I'm not trying to. I'm just stating facts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say. Disney World.
You have the floor.
Disney World is the place you want to go if you want to spend a week. Right? You want to take a week off. You want to go to a Disney park. Go to Disney World. If you want to spend a weekend, go to Disneyland.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
usually
to me. That's the distinction.
3 days.
Yeah.
It's like 3 days. Yeah.
Exactly. Which like each
Yeah,
has
but
its own purpose. I'm not
still
saying that
better.
one is strictly better than the
Right.
other. but
I'm saying one's better.
you
I
can't
know.
spend a
Same
week-
company owns them.
You
but
can't spend a week at Disneyland.
I have. Not a full week. 5 days.
Okay, you can. You physically can, but most people can't.
I know what you mean. Yeah, it's still the better park. So I guess we have that going for us. So thank you for agreeing with that as an East Coast. So sorry, where would you retire to? So not Florida. I joked about that. I knew that wouldn't be the answer, but I feel like it's not Jersey.
Definitely not Jersey. I hate Jersey.
Yeah, what we discussed. Yeah, a lot of toll roads. Affected by Sandy. Everything. A lot of things on stilts now. Some people will deny climate change, but they had to put houses on stilts, and we've had endless wildfires here. But anyway, side note.
Jersey is, I'd say, another maybe smaller cesspool in America.
Okay. Lost that audience too.
Yeah. Losing
kidding.
people.
I'm
left
kidding.
and
We
right.
can keep all this. Like I said, we'll see what this gets. We'll see what the view count is. Fingers crossed for like 50.
So, okay. This is a really good question. I've got a couple options. Connecticut is looking nice. Right? So Connecticut.
I've watched a lot of Gilmore Girls on Netflix, and even though it's filmed in Burbank, they make Connecticut look great, even though it's again filmed on the Warner Brothers lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like Connecticut or some part of like the southern part of New England, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's leaves.
Yeah,
history.
The falls are beautiful. You get 4 seasons,
Yeah.
which is nice. I
did like Boston when I visited Boston. I realized that's a city, but like I can understand if there's like issues with that. But I see what you're saying. You're almost talking about like New Hampshire or
Yeah, New Hampshire.
Vermont.
Even, I mean, maybe not that far north. Even like upstate New York is really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And with the college being there in Ithaca, like it's a little bit more educated than other rural parts.
Yeah. Ithaca is gorgeous. Is always the shirt I would see because they had gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. I've seen them.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't seen them, but I've seen the shirt.
And I'll put this in there, and I know you'll laugh. Pennsylvania, with an asterisk.
No, I won't laugh because you've already mentioned this. Yeah.
I think what's weird is like architecture of homes around here is very different, right? Like some are from the colonial era, some are not. New Jersey, for whatever weird reason, I haven't looked this up yet, has almost like 0 colonial homes, right? Like everything was built in, at least around here, everything was built in the 50s.
Interesting. I wonder why.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like if you go west to Pennsylvania, there's homes from the 17 and 1800s everywhere. And if you go north up to New York and Connecticut, they're everywhere up there too. So like, I don't know what happened to Jersey, but anyway.
Maybe they're like freaking tear the building down. Hey. Right. Yeah. It's probably like that.
Yeah, that's more of a New York accent, but I'll give it to you.
Tomato.
Yeah, Pennsylvania, like landscape is gorgeous, 4 seasons, like it's very nice. The only problem is it's like I don't want to live out in the boonies in Pennsylvania. And I don't want to live in a Pennsylvania city. Like I don't want to be in Philly or even close to Philly. So it's like if you could just take,
there's got to be like a suburb that's,
I mean, there's suburbs
kind of close to Philly that is okay. Kind of close, like not really, but I don't know. I don't know much about Pennsylvania.
It's tough. There's a lot of stuff. What the nice parts, I'd say, in quotes, of stuff near Philly would be along what they call the main line, which is where like the train essentially runs out west. And that's just like overpriced and bougie homes and stuff.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
So yeah, it's, I don't know. Yeah. So
you gotta look this up. You gotta find. Yeah.
Honestly, New England, like Connecticut, New Hampshire area, sounds pretty.
Yeah.
nice.
Look up this town, Stars Hollow. Seems very nice. And the weather's always nice. Like even when it snows, they don't show any signs of being that cold or like their breath or anything. Like
there's an episode because I've watched it through too. Of course, I have no shame.
Yeah. It's a great show.
Great show. Love it.
Yeah.
I can't remember which episode it is or really exactly what happens, but I remember like turning to Lindsay and saying, what did they do to the production of the show? They like, for some reason, I think they shot it at night, but it was supposed to be a day scene, and they switched. So it was like they were pointing the camera at one of the girls, I forget, and it looked like daytime, and then they switched over to like Lorelai. And it was clearly dark outside with like a flashlight basically on her face, and it was so poorly done.
You have to tell me what episode that was.
I'll have to find, and I think I looked it up, and some people have said they did. They confirmed that they shot it at night for some reason, but only half. It was like half the scene, so they stitched it together. It looks terrible.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, definitely have to let me know.
Yeah,
but yeah, it'll be a good town. I would look that up. It's definitely a great place to live. Got it. And I will just say, from my perspective, as a West Coast person, I think it's harder for us to move anywhere else because we get too acclimated to really nice temperatures. The wildfires are getting worse every year, sadly. So you get the smoke season, some years worse than others. This year's been more medium, kind of where I am. But I think it's harder for West Coast to East.
Yeah.
Not like the weather. There's just a lot of different like subcultures, like you were saying, all along the coast. Versus it's pretty homogenous, like you said here, so you could kind of more freely go up and down. Plus the states are huge. You have 3 states versus like I don't know, 16, 17. So I've never done it. I've only traveled to the East Coast a decent amount. New Jersey, I missed mountains. I'll say that when I was staying with you, and that was only for a week. I stayed with you,
There's mountains
and I
in
missed
Jersey.
mountains. Yeah, but like hiking and like it's so easy where I am to
There
hike
are,
and.
you got to get.
Well, thanks for taking me.
No, you got. I mean,
It's
yeah,
like-
I should have taken you because there are mountains
Yeah,
here.
thanks. I'm glad. I'm glad we didn't do that. We did use your pool, which was nice. But still,
you have to go like far west to almost in Pennsylvania. The Delaware River.
that's what I mean then,
The
right?
Delaware
Like
River
it's
splits the two, and right along there's a lot of mountains.
yeah. Because I was driving along more like the coastal side
Yeah, it's
ish
flat.
when I visited you. So it's like harder to get to like things like that. I mean, I think the beach culture is different from what I've heard too. With like
Very
people like love the summer beach thing way more on the East Coast than West. And it's probably because our water is so cold. So there's
Yeah, right.
which I think people sometimes think when they come to California, you can just freely swim in the ocean, and it's like, yeah, there's great white sharks, and it's cold in most of the spots. But I think it is harder. Like I said, I've never done it. I could see why. I do like visiting the East Coast. I'm a history nerd, so I like historical
There's
things.
a lot of that over here.
You don't have this in Jersey. Again, another down point for like homes and things. I really liked visiting DC. I think because I'm like an American history nerd, and I actually enjoyed that visiting that more than New York.
Yeah,
So I
DC
will admit it.
So
Yeah.
DC, I've always slept on because growing up, I feel like it was not that nice. Like we used to take trips down there for like school or something, and
Mhm.
I don't know what it was, but it was just like for hosting sort of the capital, it just like was not nice. But I will say DC recently is sort of like, maybe I just saw it through a different lens, but it's like way better.
That's good, especially if you older feel that way than
Yeah.
younger.
I mean, like we
Yeah.
stayed there a couple years back. We did a DC trip, and it was super nice. Like all the roads and the streets were nice to walk on. Like there was a lot of public access to stuff. It was just really cool to visit there. Yeah, we've talked like Northern Virginia could be an option as well. Northern, like Western Virginia. I mean, we both went to Southwestern Virginia schools, and I like it. I don't want to be in the middle of nowhere. Like not being close to an airport down there kind of sucks. Like you have to drive 2 hours
Yeah.
to Charlotte. It's the closest
Yes.
major one.
That would suck.
Yeah, but it's nice. It's just you start getting into the, honestly, for me, too hot weather when you start getting. If
Yeah, I
you're
mean, there's a
not-
lot of humidity on
if
the
you-
East
yeah, if
Coast
you're not
in
the
general.
mountains, like already, like here, is very hot for me. I don't like when it gets to the 90s.
Yeah, agreed.
And, like I don't know how people in Florida do it. I don't know how people in Georgia, the Carolinas. Like I think it was in Raleigh. I was like visiting someone, but I had lived there before. It was like 98 degrees, and we were sitting in the car or something, and I don't know what it was, but like the AC couldn't keep up in this guy's car. And I was sweating. I was like drenched, and it was just so annoying. Like I was just like, why? It doesn't need to
Right.
be this hot. I don't want it to be this
No,
hot.
right.
So that's another point for New England, because New England has very beautiful summers that like get up to like upper 70s, 80s maybe.
Which is pretty good, especially. I mean, I guess because Manhattan's also just like this huge, which I know is not technically part of New England, but it's this huge like concentration of buildings and people, so it just stays stifling hot and humid too.
Yeah, no, New York is
Yeah.
hot, and like I'm
Yeah.
close to New York, and it's hot here too.
Yeah.
But even if you just go a little bit, if you go to Boston, like Boston's
Yeah.
way cooler. It's just something like the lake effect kind of like drags across a lot of cooler air out to Boston, but it doesn't reach down here really.
Yeah, I can see that. Like good weather is very nice, and especially for people who run hot like you and me. It's just
Muy-
true. I mean, I
muy
do.
caliente.
Muy caliente. Wow. Yeah, I don't know where to go from there. The other thing I was going to mention. Okay, well, let's just go to this then. We'll. I feel like we covered a pretty good ground here for anybody who's considering moving. If you had to choose between the two, just in general, East Coast or West Coast, your choice would be.
East Coast.
Wow. And then, of course, I didn't even live on the East Coast, but mine would be West Coast. So hopefully, this helped people to understand that you'll be biased towards where you're from if you're from either side,
East
and
Coast,
it'll be hard for you to move.
I mean, it's East Coast for most of my life, but definitely like if you're young, you want to move around, you want to like enjoy the
Better life, yeah.
enjoy the outdoors all the time. Yeah, go to California, go to the West Coast.
Yeah,
But
better,
if you want to
better
like
theme parks.
actually
Yeah,
really enjoy life, you know what I mean? Like deeply have deep satisfaction in where you live and like start a farm and do all that. East Coast.
yeah. So if you want to start a farm, everyone, for the vast majority of you, and I mean, they do say what West Coast is the best coast, right? Pretty weird how they say that, but
East Coast is the beast coast.
the Beast Coast,
That's
yeah.
what they say.
Yeah. So the answer is right there too. Well, thanks for your insight, Nate. I hope people found this useful. I hope you miss me as much as I miss you, and we can
Yeah, we'll see.
unite on the better. Good Lord, we can unite on the better coast. So I'll see you out here at some point. For anyone watching, please subscribe if you made it this far. Thank you, first of all. And
Thank you.
if you came here, you'd be like, should I move to the East or West Coast? Well, we answered it for you.
It's
Two different answers, but so you're welcome. But also, I have other videos on here. More with Nate right here. Great conversations we've had.
never seen
Lots of great
any
videos
them,
on the channel.
I can't
And-
condone this channel.
And more travel videos, lots of great things. And then on top of that, I have a comedy channel, youtube.com/jbrandtproductions. Nate loves every comedy video I've created. Kevin, my cousin, is very funny in them. Nate has been in quite a few, shaking his head yes. And Nate loves that channel too. So be sure to subscribe and check that out. But thanks again, Nate, and for always being a great fan. And
I did start a competitor channel where I post no videos, but I still plug it in every one of these videos.
you should act, and it would probably do better than both. So please, by all means.
Maybe I'll do that.
If we're able to stay on after I press stop on this or whatever, I guess you'll press stop. Stay on because I was going to ask you a couple other things.
Yeah.
Okay.